all day.
Hey everybody, it's Tyler Skinner here again with Women Making Waves, and I have the distinct honor and pleasure of hanging out with Haley Pavone of Passion Footwear. And Haley, we just want to talk about you today. This is really, really all about you. This is our theme for the month, Hear Me Roar. And I can't think of a better person in my mind that embodies Hear Me Roar in the sense of, it's all about that fierceness, the tenacity, the courage, the fearlessness in some ways, not the absence of fear, but just the fact that you're willing to take those steps towards something unknown.
Absolutely.
You're willing to go out there on a limb. You're willing to try something new. It's that kind of thing. And making impact and having this really big heart and this big passion, pun intended, and compassion for others, along the way. And we were just chatting a little bit earlier about leadership. And I know we'll have touch on that in this conversation along the way as we go. But I just wanted to make sure that I was able to really capture your essence and who you are as a woman, as a young woman in this world, as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a friend, as a whatever, all the things, right? We wear 10,000 hats a day, and we have
Absolutely.
lots of identities that we kind of walk in. And so I wanted to make sure that we were able to really highlight you and talk about you. So first and foremost, I know
So
we're not
fun.
going way, way back. We kind of talked about that, maybe going way, way back. But I think let's just start where we started. You started this journey, you started this journey of deciding to do something different, deciding that what my life is going to look like and what do I want to be doing with it? What are dreams
Definitely.
do I have? What's important to me? What's in here? And I mean in here heart wise, what's calling to you. So walk us through that a little bit. Give us a little, glimpse into that. What does that look like? How did that feel for you at that
Yeah.
time? What were you looking for?
Into kind of the thought process around it. Well, and I think you actually hit an interesting point in the intro that goes nicely into my story, which is a lot of entrepreneurship and, just leadership and doing things like starting your own business. It's not about the absence of fear, but I think the perseverance to push through it, or maybe more the fear of fear itself. I don't even know how to explain it really. But when I think back on starting this business, I was 20 years old and was still a junior in college at Cal Poly. And I'd had the idea for fully convertible high heels. And I was obsessing over it, just obsessing over it for 2, 3 weeks, up until 3 a.m, researching how high heels are made and, trying to understand why no one had done something like this. And the more I looked and the more nothing that I found, no one had tried it. It just kept striking me what an incredible opportunity this was. And I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of apprehension about, I am 20, I'm in school, I'm still a full-time student, I have 2 years of college left. I've never started a business. I don't know anything about making footwear. Like, how am I, kind of the imposter syndrome of how could I possibly be qualified, or who do I think I am to think I should even try this? But what the final push ended up being to get me to dive in, interestingly, was a greater fear of, I was thinking about it. And I don't know what it is, but something in me ever since I was younger, my biggest fear has been having regrets when I'm older. I don't really know where it came from or where it started, but my entire life, I've always had this fear of being, 98. I no longer have the ability or the control to chase my dreams and do what I want. And being in that situation and thinking, God, I really wish I had done XYZ. Like, that vision to me is so mortifying. If it's like, okay, when I'm old and I've lived my life, I want to look back on it and think, I took a shot at everything that I wanted to do, and I'm happy and I feel fulfilled and I don't have regrets. I think maybe that's, the bigger fear is a fear of having regrets at the end of this life. And so it was actually that fear that motivated me to do it. Is I was like, I feel like this is one of those things where I'm so obsessed with this idea. I think it's such a big opportunity. I think if someone else does it 20 years from now, I'm really going to be sitting there kicking myself. And if I'm 98 looking back on my life, I think I'll really regret having not done it. And so I need to do it. So in a weird way, again, I don't think it's the absence of fear by any means. I think it's thinking about what really matters in this life and what you're afraid to miss out on or afraid to not do, or the regrets you might have. And what can you do to combat that while you are here and you have the time and the resources and the wherewithal to do it. And yeah, a lot of the aspects of doing it might be scary, But to me, those aspects weren't nearly as scary as the concept of not doing it and regretting it.
Wow. That I think that's huge. And it sounds like from that whole piece you just shared with us, one thing I pulled out from that was belief, belief in
Yeah,
yourself. Because you obsessed on it. Yeah, of course. You're like, I have this idea and I'm gonna research and I'm gonna do all these things because why has no one done this? But at the same time, you believed that you could. You're like, this is possible because I really want it and it matters to me. But it also is like, why not? Why not just try and see
right.
what happens?
Why not just give it a go? And I think I had the unique advantage, and I've said this before when I've, talked about my journey. For as difficult as starting a business in college was, I was a full-time student. I had a lot of other demands on my time. I think the biggest advantage of doing so was my fear of failure was extremely mitigated. Not that I wasn't afraid of failure. I think everyone's afraid of failure to some extent. Of course, I didn't want to crash and burn on my face. But I think one of the biggest things entrepreneurs struggle with when they're thinking about pursuing an idea is, how am I going to support myself? Will my family be okay if it doesn't work out? Will my mortgage be okay if it doesn't work out? All those various things. Being in college, I was very lucky to be supported by my parents through university. I thought, okay, if it doesn't work out, then I still finish my degree on time and I enter the job market like everybody else. Like I'm none the worse for wear. I have nothing to lose. And that was part of what factored into my decision actually to start it when I did, was I kind of appreciated, I have this golden opportunity, times of the essence. You're always at risk of losing something when you're starting a business, of course, but I appreciated in the moment I don't have nearly as much to lose right now as I might if I try to do this 5 years from now when I'm a lot more tied up in, the adulthood and complexities of life. So I figured, shoot, let's dive in. Like, what do I have to lose? Let's just go for it and
I love it.
see what happens, right?
And I love that you point that out too, and you're real and honest about that, that there are complexities that happen with people. I think more fear might creep in as people get older, or you have a different
Definitely.
circumstance, you have children involved. I mean, there's all kinds of things, right, that happen. So I appreciate you acknowledging that to that point, and then also letting people know, like, yeah, I mean, I was like, let's go for it. I'm in college. This is the right time. But I want to dig a
Right.
little bit into that, even some, not even just the fact that you were in college and the timing was right for you, but what made you really inside you, besides the fact that you're like, I don't want to have regrets? What
Right.
inside you is telling you, even from a young age, can you feel like there was something different about you, the way you maybe viewed things, the way you looked at stuff? Because a lot of people, even with that, that might not even be a push. That might not even
Right.
be the way to say, let's go for it. It's time.
Definitely. Yeah. I think a big push for me, and I look back on my life and growing up, I always knew I was very, very good at solving problems. Like very, very good at solving problems. I knew I could be clever and creative and very efficient. And so, when I looked at this big problem of turning a high heel into a flat, which had never been done before, yeah, I didn't have any experience or anything to that effect, but I always thought of myself as a problem solver. If I was like, I'm not scared to ask the questions I need to ask. I'm not scared to ask for help. I'm not scared to put myself on the line. And I'm not scared to dig into the problem and try to figure out what's going on, regardless of what that problem is. And I think something I really had confidence in as well, just all through growing up, is my ability to problem solve regardless of the problem. Like I think a lot of people get caught up on, oh, I don't have experience in engineering, so I can't tackle this engineering thing, which I think a lot of people in my situation would have done. Turning a high heel into a flat is a very technical engineering process. I am openly a big hater of math. I should never have even been an engineer. So glad I was not. And I think a lot of people would have looked at that and gone, oh, this is an engineering problem. You know, I'm not an engineer, I can't do it. I looked at it and just said it's a problem, and a problem is a problem. And the fundamentals of solving problems are the same regardless of the application. You have to ask for more help and get the right resources, but all of those are just independent problems. And so, anyway, I always was very confident in my ability to solve problems regardless of what they were, whatever came at me. And so I felt very qualified in that sense. And I also knew from a very early age that my favorite thing was building things. Didn't have to be anything in particular, but like making a company or, designing a house or designing shoes, whatever it might be. I had just always really loved the building of something new and the sensation of feeling like I made that, that's mine. I turned a concept into a reality, no matter how small. And that's, it was evidenced all throughout my childhood. I was constantly creating my own way of doing things, or my own systems, or, my own little products here and there. And so when this opportunity and this idea came to my mind, I think that background of growing up with those confidences in myself to be resourceful and solve a problem and build a solution, ideate and create a solution, those were core competencies I knew I had and knew I could apply to anything, even engineering shoes as a non-engineer, non-shoe person. So
as you have proven that to yourself and others. I mean, I think that's the most amazing thing. I love that you talk about not the engineering itself, or not the thing that you don't love, which is math, and going,
right.
I can't do that. But finding those people, right? Finding the people that can. There is
Right.
an engineer out there that's going to help you solve that and help you. And I say the word help, and I emphasize that because you say you have no problem asking for help. That's a big key factor too, not being able to ask for something. Delegate.
Right.
Say, okay, this is my idea. Let me share it with you, my vision, and let's work through that together. So I think that has been executed in such a way, and like you said, from a very young age, where you were showing those skills early on, those signs of that ability, and that's amazing. Where do you see yourself from where you were, like when you started this, like this journey, this big audacious journey? Where do you see yourself from then now? How have you changed as a person? Like
Oh gosh.
what has changed? There's a lot, because there's a lot of shifts, and things have gone at accelerating rocket speed. Some things,
Yeah.
other things
Yes.
probably feel like molasses, like they're going super slow, and you'd rather they go quicker. Things
Yeah.
go wrong, things mess up. There's all kinds of things. It's not something that's a straight path. We all know that, and we've got to honor that. But how have you changed in that evolution, that process, as you're like running around making all these big decisions and hiring teams
Right.
and doing all the stuff? Where does Haley fit into that?
I've changed in a lot of ways. And I think I have a particularly interesting journey in that sense, because I did start this business when I was 20, and I'm 25 now. But I think when you think about, anyone's early 20s, regardless of if they're starting a business or not, you change a lot. You really do. And I feel like in a lot of ways, I've grown up during the course of this business. And I see a lot of that change in the way that I am. And I think running the business has facilitated a lot of that for me. Like when I think about the big areas of change, one is I'm a lot more self-confident now. I used to doubt my gut, and I still deal with imposter syndrome, of course, but I used to deal with it a lot more regularly. And I used to be very intimidated by people I saw as having more experience than me. And I would take, a differing opinion from a more experienced person over my own gut and my own intuition. I've since evolved through trial and error and realizing that sometimes those experienced people actually don't know how to run your business better than you as the business owner do. I've come to be a lot more confident in my gut and trust my own instincts a lot more. I've gained a lot more perspective, and actually that perspective has helped pretty significantly with my anxiety. I'm always been a very anxious person. I've struggled with panic attacks for most of my life. And when I was starting the business, I mean, they were debilitating. I would be physically ill before big investor presentations. And, I still get nervous like anybody else, but I think going through all of the problem solving that I've had to go through, it's both kind of on the one hand given me perspective on what are big problems and what aren't. And that's made it easier to stay calm. And then again, it's also kind of given me perspective on myself, and that I can do these things and that I don't need to be as nervous, and kind of helped me grow into my confidence. And so, going through all of that, I think has just made me a much stronger, more calm, more mature individual with that perspective. And all those things in general have, they've not only made me a better business owner, but it's bled into my personal life as well. I think I just have much healthier views of situations, healthier views of friendships. I've just gotten a lot better, I think, in general at seeing the big picture. You survive enough of these small business battles, you start to appreciate what really matters and what doesn't. And then you also start to develop the confidence to know when those things that do qualify as mattering happen, you can get through it because you've done it before. And so
Yeah.
you almost develop a habit of overcoming your fears and a habit of overcoming your anxieties and a habit of succeeding. And that habit only gets easier with repetition. So it's really just shaped who I am, not only as a businesswoman, but just as a person, and really, I think, accelerated my growth into adulthood. Like I joke, I definitely don't feel 25 at this point. I feel like I'm basically a 48-year-old woman now after everything that I've gone through. But I think it's really forced me to grow up and be a lot more aware and intentional in all aspects of my life.
I like it that you use the word intentional. I think that's
Yeah.
a really big word to use. And the gut, having that intuition, but it starts with us, right? Inside us. And I think as women, sometimes we often, lose our way. We lose our way, and then we have to go remind ourselves again, like, who are we? What do we want? What's this all about anyway? Why did we even start this? Our why? And so I
Right.
wanted to ask you a little bit about that. I want to ask what your core values are. Do you have your core values
Mm.
as Haley, as a person? What are your core values? Not maybe your business values, although I'm hoping and I'm imagining they are infused into your business, but it's, what are your core values? And then have those shifted and changed? Have you maybe said, this isn't something that I maybe want to take on as a value anymore. It might be something that I'm shifting into a different realm. And maybe that's from business, maybe that's from personal, but maybe that's tapping into your intuition, like you said. So how has that changed for you too? And that, do you keep
Ooh.
those, and how do you continue holding true to those?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a lot of values that I actually don't know how much they've evolved. I think my values have been reinforced. I was very lucky to be raised by my father, had incredibly strong values and really instilled those in me. Um, I'm trying to think if they've changed a ton, but some that come to mind are to always be fair to everyone. And that's something that I think might be unique in business. I've always been made very uncomfortable by the business practice of I'm just looking out for myself. I'm going to push as far as I can and as hard as I can to get the best deal or whatever. I've always really wanted to be fair and have a business that's more focused on compromise and everyone less compromise, but more everyone walking away happy, like getting to the root of how can everyone be treated fairly and feel good about what's happening here today. And I just firmly believe if you approach really all interactions that way of how does everyone leave happy, you're going to have a better life and a better business and more success, because you just want people leaving interactions with you with a good taste in their mouth in all matters. And I think a lot of that is rooted in fairness and making sure everyone is heard and you aren't, an example from a business perspective would be, could I negotiate really down to bare bones on a given service if I know a vendor needs the business? Absolutely, but that's not fair and that doesn't feel right to me. It's like, no, I'm going to get a deal that works for me, but I'm going to make sure you're taken care of because that's fair. You're providing something of value and should be rewarded for that. So that's kind of unique, I think, for business owners, but it's very important to me to have
Yeah.
those boundaries and treat people that way. Which kind of,
You
I
also
guess,
show them how you want to be treated. You're like,
yeah.
this is how I would like to be treated as well.
Oh, and that's a big part of it as well, of course, is I always make it known, like, I want to be fair. That is important to me. And I hope I'm paid the same respect. So fairness is very important. I think loyalty is very important. Going through this journey, there have been people that have been the false friends or the false mentors or the false supporters. And I think going through those fallouts has made me appreciate more the real supporters and the real friends and what that loyalty means. And so giving that loyalty in return and being a warrior for those that are warriors for myself in business and in life is very, very important. Protect your own, that kind of mindset, and do unto others as they do unto you. Another one, very cliche, but this was what I was told this every day before I left for school, which was work hard, play hard, make yourself proud. And I think there's
I
a lot of
like
values
that
rolled
a
up in
lot. Was that
there.
your dad or mom or both?
My dad, well, both, but it's
I
my
like
dad
that.
started it, but it was reinforced. But I really appreciated it. It was make yourself and them proud as well. And I think it instilled a lot of values in a lot of ways of,
Oh,
take pride
yeah.
in what you do, have balance in your life, but but mean what you say, and take pride in what you do, and take pride in your accountability to others as well, was really, mean your word, responsibility. I mean, there's layers to that very simple statement, but I think that sums up a lot of my value system as well, is work hard, play hard. Basically anything you do, give it your all, and make sure you leave everything you do feeling like you're proud to have your name on it, and you'd be proud to tell your dad about it. I guess.
I love
So,
that. A friend of mine just
yeah.
told me recently there's only fun moments or funny. So meaning even if
Yeah.
it's a crappy day or something's going wrong, it can be a funny story later. It's like,
100%.
there's fun, you're having fun, whatever you're doing, or it's just funny, whatever's going
Yeah,
on. I'm like, that's a great way to look at it. Okay, good. But I like being
definitely.
proud. I think being proud of yourself, because you're the person that has to look at yourself in the mirror every day. So I think
100%.
being proud of yourself, you have to live with yourself. You have to be knowing yourself well enough to say, look, I did my best. I gave it my all. I did what I could do. And then, like you said, being impeccable with your word. You kind of reminded me of the Four Agreements, that book, about being
Yeah.
impeccable with your word, treating people fair. All these things keep coming up for me. And I'm like, yeah, that's like a solid,
Well, and I
solid
think
inner
all those
thing.
things are very intermingled, right? Of like, if you leave a day feeling proud of how you behaved, you probably were fair, and you probably were honest, and you probably were responsible and accountable. Like, I think so many things are lumped together in that good value system. And like, so that's why I always love the phrase work hard, play hard, make yourself and us proud. It's like that kind of sums up everything, really. It's just
Right.
be a good person and treat others well. And no matter how hard times may get, because sometimes when times are hard, it's very, very tempting to not be fair and not put your best foot forward and not be accountable to the people you should be. But that's not a good way to live your life, and I firmly believe nothing good comes from that. And so it's just, in spite of whatever's thrown your way, be someone at the end of the day that you're proud to
Yeah.
be, whatever that means that day. And I think good will come from that.
And that could even mean having the hard conversations, or that maybe you had to let something go. And those are things
Oh, of
that
course.
maybe for most people, it's like it wasn't a proud moment. But yeah, if you're proud of how you approached it, and you say intention, I love this word intention. I keep going back to it because I think for a lot of us women, especially in our community, it's like intention is a big deal. Like approaching something with the intention, like say your intention before you go to a meeting, say your intention before you have a conversation with the relationship, a friend, whatever. If you have to have a hard conversation, it's like, what do you want to get out of it? And
Yeah.
then know that that other person may not respond that way that you want them to. You're not in control of that. And you have to kind of let that go. And that can be hard. That
Oh,
can
it can
be
be
really
very
hard.
hard. And I
But
struggle with that a lot, because I think one of my, not shortcomings as a leader, but I think it goes both ways, is I do really care about being liked. I want to be a likable person. I don't enjoy tough conversations. And to your point, there have been a lot of things I've had to do where I'm proud of what was done, but it was really, really shitty and like did not make me feel good. Like I was proud that I did the hard thing and I got it through, but being proud of yourself actually a lot of times means it feels really, really crappy. Like it's great if you can feel proud of yourself and it's something exciting and fun and nice, but a lot of those really big, tough decisions aren't the fun things, and
no,
they still have to be made. And it still speaks volumes to your ability to rise above the fear and the anxiety and the discomfort and get it done, because it's what has to be done. And it is what's fair or what's right in spite of feeling terrible. So, it's never this like hunky-dory, bubbly, clean slate. There's always downsides to it, but those are actually, I think, the moments that matter more and that I'm more proud of are doing the things that did not make me feel good, but I knew they had to be done. And so, you got to just go into it with the right intention and hope for the best and do your best. But yeah, there's a lot of that goes into it.
what are you most proud of so far? Because that's a big deal to you. Obviously, it was instilled in you at a young age. So can you pinpoint anything that's you're most proud of on your journey so far?
Yeah, I can.
Life, business, whatever.
Yeah, I think, obviously there's a lot that goes into this. I think I can sum it up into two things. One, kind of going back to what motivates me and the skills I had as a kid, I've always loved building things. I'm very proud of the fact that I took an idea that was a bunch of weird sketches of shoes and I made it into something real that thousands of people have and love. And that's making a difference. I'm very, very proud of just the physical act of having done that. And obviously lots went into it that I'm proud of as well, between, building a team and a brand and all these various things. But in essence, I think it is very rare to take an idea and actually make something. And so I'm very, very proud of that. And then hand in hand with that, I'm very proud of the resilience along the way of, kind of everything we've talked about. It's not easy. And there have been a lot of obstacles, and there have been a lot of reasons to give up, and a lot of people that didn't believe in me or failed me in some way and made me feel like, gosh, why am I doing this every day? And so I'm very proud now, looking back at the younger version of myself, at how resilient she was, and the fight and the passion and the determination that I had to have in difficult situations, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And what really matters is still showing up when it sucks. And I'm very proud for having done that. It's really easy to quit things.
Best right there. Still sucks. If I could just take that out right there and say, yeah, you got to show up even when it sucks. That's the thing, and show up and face it, and kind of figure it out. And so I guess as we're wrapping up, I just want to ask too, because you and I have talked in the past about a lot of women are not really doing what you're doing. Or you said, I don't see in the magazines and in the media, I don't see women like me. I don't see that. And so it's hard to find role models. It's hard to find something to emulate or work for, or like kind of be, excited about, because you don't see a lot. So in your mind, how would that come to be? Like, what are some things, because we're all about call to action here. We're like, what are some things that people can be shifting, doing, thinking differently, acting differently to make that happen in your opinion? This is totally your opinion, not that you've done the research or anything.
In my opinion, I think it's the resilience and the determination of women today willing to go in and make a change. I think I know we've talked about this before. I think something that we've gotten a little distracted by as a society is, I think everyone really wants this snap your fingers and equality is fixed. Snap your fingers and women are getting funded just as much as men. Snap your fingers and in one day it's all equal and better and magical, right? That's just not how it's going to be, because I don't see a solution where that's the case, where everything is fair and feels fulfilling. Like, it would be very artificial. I think the only way to make lasting change is for the incredible women of today to find that resilience and that strength and that determination and that fear of the greater fear of regret, or, whatever it is for them that's their motivator to go, yes, the hand is not stacked in my favor. Yes, I have to go through some things that aren't necessarily fair. And that sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't suck, but knowing that that's the reality and saying what I want to do is too important to not do it, and have enough resilience to go, this is the hand that I'm dealt. I'm going to go out there and make a difference. And the more women that step up and do that, suddenly they're going to be featured in magazines that the next generation is reading. And they're going to be sitting across the table at the VC meeting, investing in the 20-year-old woman that really needs a break, that today has to really, really fight tooth and nail to get one, because no one on the other side of the table relates, right? It's kind of that bottoms up approach of, we just have to get in there and be resilient and passionate and fight. And it's going to take time, but it's that strength and that bravery to blaze the trail. And that's what we need right now.
Wow. Wow. That's all. I'm ending it right there, because that was so powerful. No, that was exactly, hear me roar right there. If you were like a lioness on the savannah, that's exactly what happened right now. And all the people, all the animals in the kingdom just heard exactly what you had to say. That was pretty phenomenal. And as a mom of two girls, I have to say, I'm super proud of just hearing you say that and then feeling that also. And I feel very inspired right now by what you just said. And I think that's a perfect call to action. Well, it's true. I mean, our next generation is so valuable. And that's what's really important, and leaving that legacy. And it can only be done if we just go ahead and put our foot forward and try. And I just really love that. Just have to do it. Thank you, Haley, so much. This is like, my God.
Of course. It's absolutely perfect. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. And I hope you join us again and we can do this a lot more. I know you're super duper busy, but I do appreciate you taking the time just to hang out and chat with our community. It's really, really important. There's a lot of women that need to see this, will be seeing this. And I guarantee you there will be someone in that crowd, some woman that's yeah,
I
we
hope
do
so.
it. I guarantee it. Okay. Well, we'll talk soon, Haley. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.